Do you believe in clinical depression? Let's have that conversation.
Sure, let's have it. Yeah, no, I do not believe in clinical depression, and you're never going to, I'd love for you to try and convince me it's real. It'd be quite interesting.
Do you think it's an invention of the US pharmaceutical industry to sell you pills?
Well, I think that that's certainly part of it. I think that's part of it. But I've had this conversation with a bunch of people, and my basic premise is that I refuse to believe in things that take power away from me. If you are in a haunted house and you believe in ghosts, you're scared of the haunted house. If you're in a haunted house and you don't believe in ghosts, you're just in a house and you don't care. So I don't like the idea when someone explains to me the idea of one day waking up and being miserable and not wanting to live anymore, and it's nothing to do with my circumstances and I have no power over it, and no matter how good my life is, I'm still gonna feel terrible and I'm gonna wanna die. That's not an idea I subscribe to. That's not a reality I'm ever going to want.
But that's
for
a
myself.
reactive depression, isn't it? You can be reactive depressed for the day, for example, or
Feeling
for a while.
Or even chronically, you know?
Feeling depressed is real.
Yeah.
Depression as a disease, I do not subscribe to. The idea, I believe, that if you feel depressed, something is depressing you, and you should try your best to fix it. You should take control of your life and do your best to fix it. The idea, but they don't say that. They don't talk that. They say depression like it's this magic thing that comes out the sky and it gets in your brain. You're sad no matter what, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you need to only take pills. And I think that's a very bad way to look at the world, and that's a bad idea to subscribe to. And if you start to feel depressed, let's say your girl leaves you and you start to feel depressed, but you believe in the idea of depression, you're now going to start diagnosing yourself as clinically depressed, self-hypnosing yourself into hypnotizing yourself into being clinically depressed. And it's amazing how you can speak things into existence. I cannot become depressed because I don't believe in it.
So how about chemical imbalances in the brain?
Bullshit. That's all been disproved anyway.
Really?
It's all been disproved. Firstly, that's all been disproved. And secondly, even if that was true, even if I had a chemical imbalance in my brain, I do not believe in depression. That's just who I am as a person. I don't believe in it. I do not believe in things that take power away from me. So, and people sit there and they try very hard to convince me it's real, which is actually quite interesting because it's always usually depressed people who sit there and try very hard to defend this idea. If you're so scared, if depression's so terrible, why are you sticking up for it? Why are you fighting so hard to convince me it's such a powerful force? Why shouldn't you be doing the opposite? Shouldn't you be listening to me? Whose team are you on? Like, do you want to be depressed? Like, it's insanity. These people who are so desperate to push this idea. Then you add in the pharmaceutical element and the fact that everyone's taking these fucking drugs, messing with their brain chemistry. It's garbage. I think that you feel depressed sometimes because you're human.
So you felt depressed at times, would you say?
We're all human.
Yeah, because I felt depressed. I mean, I had some major, it might not sound big, but some major dental surgery done. Yeah. And it really got me down for a while. But my businesses and running those, to be honest, picked me up because it was like, I can't be like this. Get in there, do some business.
Well, completely. And also, let's look at it. Let's pretend I'm completely wrong, right? We can look at situational depression like you just described. We can talk about brain imbalance and chemical imbalance. We can talk about clinical depression that you get and it's chronic and there's nothing you can do about it, whatever. Let's pretend all these things are completely true. The best option, the best thing to do is still to get up, be an adult, control your emotions, be stoic, and do the things you're supposed to do day after day. Laying in bed and doing nothing is never going to be the best option. The best option is still to go to the gym, to work hard, to run your business, to be successful. So it doesn't matter. We're talking about the different positions on the chessboard. But if the rules of the game remain the same, regardless of the position you're still trying to win, you still have to do the same things. So does it even matter at this point? If you come along and say he's depressed because of X and he's depressed because of Y and he's depressed because of Z, and the answer to all of them is still the same thing, then I don't give a fuck why you're depressed. All I know, what I will state as a matter of fact, is this world is hyper competitive, especially as a man. Most men are walking through life and they don't realize that it's constant competition. I was driving here. Even as I was driving here, I was looking out the window and I was looking at all these people just walking around. One of them had a fucking croissant. One of them was dressed like a dickhead because it's London. He thinks he fucking looks cool. Looks like a fucking moron.
We've all seen them.
Yeah, moron. Some of the dude just talking shit on the phone. Some other guy with headphones in waiting to be fucking murdered. Wouldn't even hear it coming. And all these NPCs, I'm just looking at them going, do they realize they're in endless constant competition? Every single pound they want, someone else wants. Every single girl they want, someone else wants. There are people like me out here. I will destroy, you could get all 30 of them in a room and I will sit by myself and absolutely annihilate them in any single metric. And they're just sitting there just fucking floundering and wandering through life unaware of how competitive the world is.
Well, and whinging how unfair it is.
And whinging and how unfair it is. And this is my point. If the world is truly that competitive, You do not have time to be depressed because it's a non-competitive mind state. You could be depressed for X, Y, Z, whatever. I'm not depressed. And I want the money you want, and I want the girl you want, and I want the status you want, and the car you want, and the house you want. And I'm going to get it, and you're fucking not. And that's the bottom line of life.
If you gave that guy that stuff, he probably wouldn't be depressed
Well,
anymore.
he's get up off his ass and work then, doesn't he?
business.
And this is the point.
He probably would, because he wouldn't have a direction in life. I think it's a very empowering message that you share. And, you know, I think if you can fix it with pills, you can probably fix it by going to the gym and doing all of these other aspects.
But pills
he
doesn't
talks
even
about.
fix it. Pills just numbs it.
Mask.
It masks it.
Well, it's not a holistic way to treat it, is it? Whereas what you're saying is more so.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you're playing a game, and it's a competitive game, and you need to build a mindset that allows you to be ultra competitive. And if you want to sit there and say, no, I want a non-competitive mindset, then fine. You know what you call people who do not win competitions?
Losers.
Correct.
Dad used to say when I came second, he was like, second is the first loser. You know?
It's true. And it's just the bottom line of life. And it's kind of interesting because everyone pretends they give a fuck, but nobody does. Especially women. And I know I get attacked for women, but women truly don't give a fuck. If you ask a woman the kind of man she wants, she will never say depressed or sad. Ever. She wants a man who is ultra capable, ultra competent. I've literally had women say to me, you know what I love being around you? I'm like, what? I don't have to think. I'm like, what do you mean? Because I just turn up and like, we just walk in the hotel and staff do anything we want and the jet's just on the runway and we just land and I'm in this beautiful place and I don't even know where I am and I get to just turn my brain off and it's great. Like, they want someone who is fun and spontaneous and charismatic and successful. They don't have time for sad dudes. They don't care. So the world doesn't care. The world has never given a shit about sad men. So if you're going to sit there and self-diagnose yourself as a sad man, you're going to have a shit life and nobody's ever going to give a fuck and you're going to perpetually lose forever. And that is your decision. I am so scared of being that person. The idea of that terrifies me to the point where I don't even want to accept that as a reality that can possibly exist. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I could possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary because I will never stay a loser. It's against my creed. It's not in my DNA.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole message of Strike It Big and what we try and put across to the younger generation.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. And this is the thing about society and MSM and all this garbage and the Matrix. They try and convince you, don't worry if you're being a loser because people feel sorry for you and you'll get attention for it and you'll be okay in the end. And it's all this temporary fixes of dopamine by saying, I'm sad. Don't worry, bro. You'll be okay. But it's bullshit. They don't care long term. The world doesn't care. Nobody really cares. Chicks don't care. Business doesn't care. You are going to fail.
It even happens in schools now, doesn't it? Everyone gets a prize.
No, it's garbage.
Of course it's garbage.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You've got to have winners. You've got to have losers. You have to lose to know how to win.
It's true. And the natural state of man is a competitive state of man. Men have always been competing with each other. Even now, right now, we compete with each other. I don't buy Ferraris to drive fast. I do sometimes, but if I'm in London traffic, it's not to go quick. No. It's to show everyone else I'm richer than them. That's what it is. It's a never-ending competition. I don't wear a big diamond Patek with fucking $500,000 to tell the time. I tell the time on my phone. I do it because I'm loaded. And this is actually what's interesting about the world because the world's changed. Men used to go to war and fight each other in physical combat, and now we don't because we're more civilized in some regards. That's violence is still the bottom line of society, but we try and avoid it. Men are constantly doing combat by showing each other how we can move world with money. We're constantly in combat because of our status. 99% of what men do is for status. We want to be in good shape for status. We want the fast car for status. We want the nice house for status. We want the diamond watch. We want the hot girl. This is all for our status. Look at me. I'm the big dog. This is how we compete with each other. If you're going to be a dude who pretends that's not true or be a dude who doesn't want to compete, your life's going to fucking suck. That's the reality.
Do you feel like sport drilled this mentality into you? Because I used to be a competitive swimmer. I was always competing, trying to be the best. And my dad used to compete with radio controlled models.
Yep.
How about you?
Well, that's it. What is sport? Sport is just watered down versions of war.
Yeah.
This is what men have always done.
Friendly war.
Completely. We've evolved to be in battle with each other to some regard. And they
wonder why fans get so emotional as well, because they're also at war with the other fans, aren't they?
Completely.
You know, and that's going to kick off at some point.
Exactly. And you look at the entire planet throughout history, there are ideas which are universal. These are not ideas that could have possibly spread or shared because of the distances involved. It was a universal idea for the Mongols and the Chinese to fight each other, and the Aztecs and whoever else to fight each other, and the tribes in Africa to fight each other. The Europeans, the French, and the English were fighting each other. Humans have always done this. It's just like, no, I'm the boss. No, I'm the boss. So, okay, then let's find out who's the boss. And now we live in a world where I think that status is the new form of combat, and the true expression of testosterone is showing you can move the world with money. This is why I do a lot of the things I do. When I show up to a hotel and every single member of staff panics and they're all standing there waiting only for me and no one else is allowed to walk in and all my cars are out front and Mr. Tate, that's war. That's winning. That's what it is. That's the game. And I don't have time to even accept the idea of a reality where I can't create that for myself.